Gray podcast. Do.
And we're live.
We're gonna publish a World of Gray podcast.
We need to get better at getting our content out there.
Yes,
because nobody watches this on YouTube, and that's our fault.
That's our fault.
Because we don't promote. We're the shit.
Which is ridiculous because you and I both actually have pretty good promotion skills.
I know, but it's hard when you don't pay for shit.
Yeah, we don't like paying for shit.
We get buried. I don't think we're good enough to pay for shit. That's what the thing is.
Yeah, well, it's just in our mind, man.
Shazza Mike Chisholm is going to be getting the Facebook Live ready. Facebook Live. So we're just going to hang out. Starting a bit.
Hey.
My mic stand broke.
Yeah, so you're freewheeling today.
Just free balling it.
Free balling.
I'm free balling.
Yeah, you are. Oh, I'm so happy to be doing this with you. Okay, publish, and we're going to go live.
I have some compliments coming your way.
Compliments? Oh, shit. Okay. Let's do this. Let's catch up.
I don't have the cans on. I didn't have the cans on. I'm chewing gum. That's not going to be good. How do you figure shit out? Be a professional. Be a professional. Hardy boy.
Bam.
So, Hardy boy, it's been a couple weeks since we've done this World of Gray podcast. What have you been up to?
Well, that don't work. All right, this might work.
Hardy boy, that's your cue. What have you been up to?
Hey,
and we're live.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World of Gray podcast. In a society divided by black and white arguments, we are here to explore
the world of gray.
I am Kelowna's Cougar Meat Kid, Colin Cutler.
I am the Flow Mike Chisholm. We are so happy to be back. It has been a while since we have done this together, my friend.
I messed it up. Sorry. I'm selfish and wanted to see more of my face.
So it's been a while since we've done this, but we still can mess it up very easily.
But we're still just as bad.
We're still just as bad. This is so good. Look, we both got shades on today.
It's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you too.
Neither of us are hungover, too. That's the funny thing.
Nope, not even a little bit.
We just like wearing shades.
We do. We like wearing shades, and I think it has to do with the fact that it's a long weekend in our part of the world. I don't know if it's a long weekend in your part of the world, but if it is, yeah.
Considering most of the people watch us are literally from Kelowna.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Do you want to just reach behind? Actually, I'm probably closer.
All right. Well, I can do whatever, man. I'm mobile.
Just hit that light. Hit the lights. The little switch on the wall behind you. Flick it.
Look at that. Now we got lighting.
You can tell me where that's from. You win.
A little light. I don't know.
It's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Is it really?
The second one.
The second one.
Quick, hit the lights.
That's a deep cut.
The little switch on the wall behind you. Flick it. I was a little obsessed as a kid. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here back in the World of Gray podcast. Last week, the Flow Mike Chisholm and his wonderfully, beautifully
blushing bride,
Candace Chisholm, took the reins. The week before I was the week before I got called into work.
Yeah, it was work week.
Woo! That was a fun weekend.
Work week, and I was out of town.
And Mike Chisholm was out of town the week before. I rode solo. So starting back at me riding solo, turns out I need you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was all over the place. I need someone to reel me in, put me back on track. I could, when you're just doing something not the way you planned it as you're doing it, and you know it, but you just keep doing it. That was that experience.
You just kept swimming.
I just kept swimming.
Yeah,
I was trying to talk about the election. I have some really good perspective on the 2020 U.S. election.
The American election.
American election.
Yeah.
I was fucking all over the place.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on the Democratic primaries?
I think it's weird because there is the safe votes, but the safe votes are going to what? Old white men.
Right. So
And
we're
then
talking about
there's
Joe Biden, right?
Right. There you go. I mean,
Right.
or I mean,
Or
some would say Sanders would be an unsafe vote because he's got these crazy ideas, but
he's easily smeared.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Because he wants to make some wholesale changes.
Right.
Biden is kind of the steady as she go guy, and but then you've got this, a pool of people who are different. A lot of women like
Elizabeth
to
Warren?
me, yeah, Elizabeth Warren. I mean, you look
Tulsi
at
Gabbard.
absolutely Kamala Harris.
Ugh,
I know you don't like her, but
she's establishment.
well, I guess so.
That's all.
But I've always
Maybe she's fine. I actually don't know that much about her, but does she? I'm assuming she takes corporate PAC money, correct?
I would assume
Problem.
she's a Democrat from California, right?
Problem.
I assume that she's in with business, but I don't necessarily think that is a bad thing. I don't
do.
think you want to go from
100%.
like when you look at Russia when they took communism out,
okay,
right? Bread lines showed up.
right,
Like you make a wholesale change like that, you really, really affect the infrastructure and the daily life of everybody in that country, based on a couple little decisions that get made that I don't know that people understand the ramifications of. If you're going to make change,
hello, Kelly.
hey Kelly, I think maybe a centrist might be a place to kind of move towards with who is intent on changing things.
Here's my problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Not that I'm Kamala Harris. I'm just throwing up an argument.
No, 100%. And I love that you threw that out there, and this is why I need you around. So the centrist argument comes up a lot. Oh, let's just gear towards the centrist. I think the problem with that is the centrist argument tends to just be, oh, well, the centrist is just going to be better than Donald Trump. And this is the formula when Hillary was running. And this is the reason but the states got Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's repeating history.
So you think that it should go to an extreme to an extreme?
I'm not saying necessarily it needs to go to extreme. I personally don't think Bernie Sanders' platform is extreme.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
Like this is the problem is yes,
but it's portrayed that way.
Yeah, socialism is
yeah.
extreme.
Yes.
For sure. And maybe Bernie should have never labeled himself as a democratic socialist.
Right.
Maybe that was his biggest flaw.
Right.
Because if you look at a lot of other developed nations, including our own, a lot of Bernie's ideas are centrist.
Yeah.
So if your idea of centrist is like Canadian centrist, like a good example is if tomorrow the Conservative Party of Canada got into power, they're not going to get rid of single payer healthcare.
No, that's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the States, single payer healthcare is being displayed as this far left idea.
Yeah.
So we're
very different countries in that regard.
Yeah,
Like I love the Canadian election that's coming up here. I think there's some fascinating stuff coming up with the Canadian election.
Talk to me,
but it's completely different.
You know me, I'm obsessed with the U.S. election. And
You're obsessed with the U.S. news cycle,
right? Correct.
Yeah, and that's.
So let's talk about the Canadian.
Well, I mean, I look at what Trudeau has brought in, and it's really, really funny how, there's country music outside. You hear that? All right. There's country music.
Little background music.
No, you look at at what Justin Trudeau has done, and there are so many people that believe, okay, this is an awesome guy. He's a young leader. Yeah. Like when he makes a mistake, he runs into the wall.
Quick note: we should probably share this page on our own pages because we don't really have a lot of people following this page.
All right. Well, okay. So what do? We just go online. See. Oh, okay. It's right there. I'm going to do it right now. Hey, check it out. We are live.
Is that Jennifer? Jennifer Megan Roy, we're podcasting.
She's got a birthday coming up.
Jennifer Megan Roy does have a birthday coming up.
It's like next week?
Wednesday, but her party is next Sunday. So we're going to podcast and then...
It is Sunday. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I will stay for some party. Yeah. So anyway... You've got Justin Trudeau, who many are like, okay, this is awesome. He breathes new life into things, which he does. But then you look at what his party has done, and I am aghast a little bit from a business owner perspective,
right,
about what he has done for, corporate tax, people who have corporations that are sitting there with cash in them, the way that he is taxing those things, because what he tried to do for small business. Now, to me, in my opinion, small business is what drives our economy.
I agree.
It really does. And
it should.
Well, in Canada, I think it does.
Yeah.
And I think
it should.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yeah. People should have the opportunity and in fact be encouraged. More entrepreneurship should be taught in schools early on. Like it's what literally drives our nation. We're not big business. We're not all working for Amazon. We're not all, that's not what we're about. And so, when you look at some of the things that he proposed, and thank goodness haven't gone through, but some of the things that have gone through are like, there is a reason
Can you elaborate? Because like I'm genuinely curious.
Okay, so a few years ago, he tried to bring in this new sweeping tax law when it came to small business, and it was extreme. If you're from the perspective of a small business owner, it took a lot of money out of businesses that many times are teeter-tottering, and he tried to come across saying that people are hiding money, that if they're income splitting with their spouses, that they're like not above board, and some of these things like that he was going to clean things up, but he was cleaning things up from a group of people who there's a balance. Yeah. And many felt that there was going to really, really, really upset that balance. The small business owners who would not be afraid to, or not be able to keep things going. And so there was such an uproar that they pulled it back.
Right.
They pulled it back. And so these are the types of things that I don't know if you want to call it a, rookie mistakes or things like that, but, or not a full understanding, but he has upset so many people in the business community. I know people that voted liberal because of the ideals of the liberal, of the acceptance of the diversity, some of these things that that our next generation is championing, and standards that are really, really necessary to uphold when it comes to from a heart perspective, who are like, screw this guy. We are going back, because if our nation crumbles from a business perspective or a tax perspective, we're screwed. And they're going back to the idea of a conservative. And now that in our riding, we have a local who hasn't been there forever, and she's a woman and whatnot. The conservative, the election where we're at is going to be a very, very interesting one. I believe we're going to go back conservative, and that's no fault of our liberal Stephen Fuhrer, but man, there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to that, and it's going to be a really, really interesting Canadian election this year in November.
So it seems to me,
notice how we're talking about the 2020 election in the States, but we've got an election in November, and we've never really started talking about it.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's
no. I'm saying as a country. There's not all this rhetoric going out there about this election, and we're like 6 months away.
Yeah, so I think a big reason for this is the types of platforms in which we get our information from.
Yep.
And how that information is funneled. I was just watching, Joe Rogan had Tulsi Gabbard on.
Oh, I haven't heard that one yet.
He's had her on before.
She was
running, and now that she's running, and they talk about just kind of the scariness of how much information Facebook and Google control.
Yep.
Right. And it's not even that they control and manipulate just information in general, but
it just shows up. Their metrics are crazy. From somebody having a Facebook profile,
right,
and being active on it, the metrics that they get are absolutely astounding.
Yeah. So they're controlling what you see. Like, even think about, I don't know if I trust this news source, so what I'm going to do is go Google information, right? So I feel like a big reason why we're so fixated on what goes on in the United States. Kevin Jeffries has joined us.
Hey, welcome, I love that guy.
He had a birthday on the 15th. So
I know. I wished him a happy
So
one.
Did Kyle Sebastian on Saturday.
I did not wish him a happy birthday, nor do I now.
Happy birthday, you big lug.
Yeah.
I love him.
Hey, Kyle Sebastian,
so much.
Birthday.
Kyle.
Make it what you want.
Kyle, I love you.
Oh.
I love you. I miss you.
Okay. So
he's not been watching. But yeah, I think a big reason why we're not talking about the Canadian election, we're talking about the US election, is that we just see more of it and widely entertaining.
Sure.
So on that note, like, as somebody, I even wrote a note on my little notes here that just, I know nothing. That's what it says. That's my whole note. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's the old, you don't know what you don't know shit. And the more I try to learn shit, the more I realize that, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Like, Venezuela is one of these things. I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Yep.
Right? Oh, this guy's the right president. He's a dictator. Or he's kind of not the worst dictator. And like, I just don't know who to believe anymore.
And how about Iran? 120,000 troops moving
Holy
towards
shit.
Iran.
Oh, I like to call it Iraq 2.0.
That's what a lot of people are starting to call it.
Yeah. So we can talk about that a little bit. And this is the misinformation that I'm talking about.
You know what I know about that? I know about what I see on Colbert. That's what I know about that.
Yeah.
Like, you got people who are playing chess on a level with real lives.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Most people have no idea what's going on that live in the sheltered areas that we live. Like, it's so funny how we think that we're so enlightened on things and that the information has gotten to everybody now and it's a level playing field. Not even close. There's so much going on right now that we don't know. And it's just, it's really, really, really disconcerting to see that. But 120,000 troops are moving.
I didn't know the number.
Yeah,
that's
I think
insane.
that was, or that's the number that's recommended.
And that's kind of like
120,000. That's a Gulf War scale invasion.
Just in case,
force.
Right? Isn't that what
that's
this is?
That's what they're saying. Just in case.
Like,
how crazy is that?
So this is exactly what happened for the Iraq war with the weapons of mass destruction. We were told there were weapons of mass destruction. If you said that wasn't true or you didn't believe that, you were called a conspiracy theorist. Right. And that has been proven to not be true.
But think about that. Okay, you think about the at that point when that happened of Iraq.
Hello, Evelyn. Hello, hey. Rick.
Yo,
hello,
everybody.
Stuart.
Hey, people are watching.
Hello, friends.
Right on. I started a watch party on my Facebook.
Watch party.
And some people are showing up. Stuart's amazing. We'll see him at Cauliflower Alley next year because you're coming.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay, good. Like today, we're going to talk about that? Mm-hmm.
I got notes.
Oh, you got notes.
This is
so
World of Grey.
I want to go back
in review.
World of Grey in review. We're catching up. It's been a couple of weeks.
Danny Deeds, no longer champion at the moment. Sucker.
Oh, I know. There is no champion right now.
Good luck tonight.
At 1 o'clock, that's going to change. There's going to be a champion.
Mayday's Rutland Centennial Hall.
The winner of the Rutland
Danny
Rumble.
Deeds,
yeah, Danny
trying
Deeds
to get that belt back.
He'll be there. But no, so you think about Iran now versus Iraq. Okay, so the Iraq war was still a time where it had to be sold to the American people.
Right.
And so they had these conferences and they had these things where, Colin Powell had to basically put his reputation on the line. He's talked about that since then, about what he did there when he showed that vial to everybody, talking about how, hey, look, there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And they still had to get the American people on board. Now they're positioning things without having to have gotten everybody on board. And that's what, 10 years later?
Alex Tisnato.
Not even 10 years later?
Thinks we're hungover. We did say at the beginning of the podcast.
We are not hungover.
We're not hungover at all.
We're in beach mode.
We're just the cool kids.
It's beautiful. It's a long weekend. We're in beach mode right now. Normally I'm pro mode. Today I'm beach mode. If I had an action figure, this would be a variant of Mike Chisholm right here. I'd be the chase figure right here.
I'm pretty much in full gear right now.
Colin is steady as she goes. That's what's going on right now.
The problem is I don't have the body for it. So yeah,
Many would disagree.
The problem now is when you have these misinformations, these things that were called conspiracies, and we find out they're not conspiracies, and when new things come up, they make us paranoid.
Yes.
And then we do have people that go too far with conspiracies, and then you have other people that are like, well, no, this just happened, and like you're still being called a conspiracy. Like I want to be informed.
Yeah.
And I also want to rip my fucking hair out.
Okay.
Right? Like, so I'm not a news person.
I want to be informed whenever you rip your hair out.
But you're a very intelligent man.
So are you.
All right. Nah, I'm a curious individual. I'm good at what I do, like for my job, like for my field.
Yeah. You talk about personal training with you.
I can teach you to squat till the cows come home, and then you could pick them up because I've taught you to squat for so long.
Specialized intelligence.
Yeah. Like in that aspect, sure, you can call me smart, but like with this shit, I'm not. Like I've only been researching politics since Trump, like, started, like wasn't even elected yet.
No, exactly.
That's not very long.
No.
But this is this is why I want to do a podcast, because I am you people that maybe are still trying to learn this stuff.
You're the everyman.
And a lot of people on here know more than me and teach me things. So this is the greatest part of this podcast.
Yeah.
But as someone trying to figure this shit out, it's frustrating.
Sure it is.
Because then you also have to listen to other people who don't know very much, but just hear one side and go, it's good enough for me.
Yes.
And then they start like coming at you and you're like, no, I just looked this up. That's not true. And so anyways.
And that's the whole thing. If we could get rid of people with agenda in a sense that, where they're trying not to do the good for the everyone.
Mama Raven Lake has joined us.
Hey, Mama Raven Lake.
Hello, Mama.
That would be an amazing thing. But the problem is that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Bobby Bass, man.
We love Bobby Bass.
Oh, we sure do. So on my way back from Vegas, I sat on the plane during the last flight, the flight from Seattle to Kelowna, with this is like a flat out brilliant guy. His name's Eric. He's an absolute brilliant man. And he's an engineer, and he explained, Candy and I last week, if you saw the podcast, we were talking a little bit about environmental racism. He introduced me to that concept, environmental racism.
Explain.
Which is a real thing. Oh, okay.
Just quickly, because they can go back and watch the other video, but just quickly.
But at the end of the day, this guy is a guy, he's an engineer, okay, in his late 20s. an engineer working for a company making electric semi-trucks. Okay. Amazing. Oh, absolutely. And his perspective on things was unbelievable. This is a world-class mind. And he's into the same stuff that we're into. And he happens to live in Kelowna. So one
He's
day,
into leather?
What's that?
He's into leather?
Not those things that we're into, but some of the same things.
Okay.
He might not be into dash hounds either, but phenomenal guy. And he introduced me to this concept of environmental racism. And it's like, okay, so you got a place like California, which has this really, really strict emission law when it comes to pollution. And they really are astounding of a state when you consider how many people are there, how many cars are there, and where their emissions are at. Because of the standards on their vehicles, because of the very strict laws they have for business, all sorts of stuff. So, and his contention was that regulation drives innovation. So like the US in certain states have certain emission laws that have to be in place by a certain time. And there are bonuses for companies that get there first. So they get there. So these are things that haven't even been invented yet, but they've got.
It's like a reverse carbon tax because they would be polluting less, so then
Right.
they're getting a refund back.
Right. So when I think of people who, and so I'm like, remember the regulation drives innovation. Okay, that's where I want to go for our discussion here. But environmental racism is this. So you've got California with these crazy laws. They got a lot of money. They pay a lot of companies to innovate things. Okay. So those companies that want to build these semi-trucks, for example, and let's not use his example of where he works, but these companies that want to build this next technology, less pollution. Well, guess what? They're not going to build those things, whatever those widgets are, whatever that product is. They're not going to build that in California. They're going to move those factories to the cheap land. And where is the cheap land? For an example, maybe Michigan right now.
Okay.
So in Michigan, they're going to build these factories to build this awesome product.
Yeah.
But these factories are going to pollute the local area. They're not going to, they're not going to drive tech jobs. They're going to drive factory jobs.
Right.
So people are going to make a certain amount. It's only for the place that's trying to make the world a better place. So that's environmental racism, because they don't live in California. They live in a place like Michigan where the land is cheap.
Yeah.
The standard of living, those people and whatnot, doesn't matter what their race is. It's environmental racism.
Yeah.
And that place is going to be way more polluted than California.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Environmental racism. And that's one little example of it. And
there's
it's everywhere
in
business.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples. There's places that literally ship their garbage to other places just
There's
because they
another
up
example.
to Canada. Like
China
ship
hates
up to Canada.
There's areas of China that hates North America, burn it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we get mad that they're not adhering to certain environmental laws. Well, you know what? That's kind of what are you looking for, man?
Alex Bradley. Oh, there's some
Yo.
comments, and we're both wearing sunglasses, and I have my glasses on. So I
It's the long
real
weekend.
close. If you switch over to YouTube, there's a Hardy angle.
None of them know how to switch over to
of
YouTube.
the
They
world.
barely got their way here. We do not promote this thing well at all.
We do it for us. It's so sad. Like
I know.
I do want this podcast to be successful.
One day.
But when it's not, we
Not
don't
this
even
day.
really care. Because we just anybody that's entertained by it or wants to talk.
Yeah.
Carrie also has said hi to us. Hopes everything is well. Says I look hardcore today.
All is fantastic.
Trying to mimic hardcore Kyle Sebastian.
Oh man.
That was like
how do you
Alex
mimic
Jones.
him?
That was like Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Hardcore Kyle Sebastian was a version of Kyle Sebastian when we had the Meat Market podcast. The Meat Market show on YouTube.
Yes.
Hardcore. You should watch that. It's good.
Me
trying to teach
really
Kyle to be
should.
hardcore.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And
With that little baby face of his.
yeah, I'm to like take this. That's how you're hardcore, and he keeps ducking it. It's really funny. We had fun with that show. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I like the environmental racism idea. Go back and watch the last episode of the World of Great podcast with Mike Chisholm and his wife Candace Chisholm, where they delve into that a little more. So you're saying I was on the way back from Vegas. What were you doing in Vegas, Mike Chisholm?
I was at Cauliflower Alley.
Yeah. So can you explain to the non-wrestlers out there what Cauliflower Alley Club is?
Okay, so Cauliflower Alley Club was something that was built in the 50s, I believe. It was built actually with the
Tom P. is
Oh, Tom P.
Tom P. is one of my favorite people
he makes
in the
videos
world.
sweet as pecan
He's just
pie,
and
as
he's Tom P.
smooth as butter, as smooth as warm butter. That's how his videos are. I love
his
Tom P.
videos are as good as he is a person.
Oh man, that makes him.
He's the
That makes him a
best.
good person.
All right.
Holy smokes! So yeah, Cauliflower Alley is an institution that was created in the late 50s by some wrestlers and some actors, and it was basically a club for, I don't want to say entertainers, because wrestling back then was very, very, very much, and it still is very much a brotherhood. That's what this thing is all about. But at the end of the day, it's of people in the wrestling business who need some help. There's a benevolent fund that is there for, because a lot of wrestlers, they have lived their lives, they've busted their asses, they've busted their bodies, and they don't have pensions, and they get health problems later on in life. No problem.
Tom P would like me to give a shout out to Ashley Cheeves, and I would love to do that because I love Ashley. Ashley was she was my manager in All Star Wrestling for a while.
Wow.
And we had so much fun together.
Yeah?
If she ever comes back and for it, well, the very first match of
my contention is that no one could manage the Cougar Meat Kid.
Oh, she can manage the
How
Cougar
do you
Meat
manage
Kid.
this? How do you manage
If anyone
that?
can do it, Ashley Cheese, best
with a
manager
leash,
I've
that's
ever
how
had.
you do it, because it's the only way.
Best manager I've ever had.
Choke
And I've
chain.
had some great managers, including Scarlett Black
Spanking paddle.
and Ryan O'Ryan. Ashley Cheese is amazing. The very first match of the very first show of Wise Pro Wrestling, the very first person you see is
Kenny
Ashley Cheese.
Hey,
and
really?
then between her legs, like a mama given and Cutler. That was a hard and fast 6-minute match against Daniel Adonis. And if it wasn't for Ashley, I would not have been the first victor in Wise Pro Wrestling.
So what was going on is that night you were the curtain jerker. Colin Cutler was who you were that night.
Mark Chisholm, everybody.
Hey, Mark Chisholm. Yes.
Well, funny thing is that you got to do like 8 minutes. I'll do 6. I'm on you. Like everyone wants to get their shit in. And they tell me to do a hard, fast 8 minutes. I'll do 6.5, and I'll blow the fucking roof off.
Yeah,
this place.
You will.
And the very first threw him on Adonis' face and just charged him.
Oh, I love it.
Fucking huge. Because at the very first show of a really hyped show, such a good way to start. Hot start. And then flippy around, and then he beat the shit out of me, and then I snuck one on him. That was
snuck it in.
my MO.
Well done. So anyways, Cauliflower Alley is this place where wrestlers take care of older wrestlers, and then every year they have a reunion where they get together in Las Vegas, and it is fantastic. It is such a cool thing. Legends that you've heard of, that everybody has heard of, were there. To all the territories or people or whatever. And my goodness, is it ever a fun,
so good,
insightful, just amazing time.
And that was your first time going?
That was my first time going. I actually didn't think I had enough street cred in the business to be able to go.
Yeah.
Because I take it very seriously, and that I was invited into the wrestling business.
You're very respectful to the old school way.
Have to be.
That's what I love about you.
Have to be.
Otherwise, I wouldn't hang out with you.
Well, there you go. And yeah, like even when you and I first started hanging out, and I would pick your brain on things.
Yeah.
Inside now, I'm to the point, and Kevin Jeffries, massive credit to him, saying to me, Mike, you've promoted for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a lot of new, interesting, awesome ideas and things. And oh boy, was he right? I should have started going a couple years ago, and I believe I'm going to get a lifetime membership. I'm going to be there every year now. It's really good. Also came third in the crib tournament, and if you know pro wrestling, old school pro wrestling, crib is a big part. A lot of the boys and girls used to sit backstage and play crib with each other, waiting for their match to come up. And I happen to know crib.
Did you join
15-2, bitch?
Did you join the strut off? Or they not?
I watched the strut off. Raven Lake actually tried to get me to be her partner at one point, but then
she's won it before.
She has won it.
Do you know who it?
Was it
short sleeve Samson?
Oh well, there you have it.
Because when I say short sleeve, you say
Samson.
That's fucking right. You say Samson.
I missed him. He wasn't there this year, and I missed him very much. A couple of his guys were there, but
I love a lot of men. Do you notice that?
Yeah. I love a lot of men too. I'm actually that's part of one thing that I'm doing is I'm saying I love you a lot to the people I love a lot more. I say I love you to a lot of people. You're one of them. I'm not afraid. Man. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say that. It's one of those things where it's like you gotta take stock as you go, and if you don't let people know how you feel as you go, I believe that many time regrets show up. So
if tomorrow never comes, love that song, like obsessed with that song.
Yeah, man. So I went to Cauliflower Alley. I went to Las Vegas.
I've been to Cauliflower twice. Literally the best vacation I've ever had. Me and Kyle in Vegas. Cougar Meat in Vegas is the most entertaining shit. Literally, people that we had never met were like, "Where's Cougar Meat? Want to go hang out with Cougar Meat?"
Oh, Raven Lake wants to let us know that she's won it twice.
Oh, right. That's
she's won it twice.
Was it back-to-back years too?
Might have been. She's
I feel like it was.
She,
or like
it was cool seeing Raven there because literally one of the most popular people in Cauliflower Alley. Everybody coming up to her and talking to her and whatnot. It just, it was really, really cool to see that.
Second time with her daughter. So I've been there a bunch of times. Me and Kyle had so much freaking fun, man. We took pictures with literally everybody. We took pictures with all of like the entertainers and then just any random person we met. We were just the friendliest people. One guy, we were like talking about him and he didn't know what we were saying but he could tell we kept looking at him and he was getting all mad and then he like looking at us and we could tell he was getting mad, so we then like let him into what we were talking about. The dude looked exactly like Daniel Bryan and he had no idea who Daniel Bryan was, and then we asked him if we could take a picture with him and he was like, he went from like ready to fight us because he didn't know what the fuck we were talking about to like, all right. So we have
did you post that picture? Did people think
I'm sure we did post it?
All right.
Honestly, what we were doing is we were filming for the meat market show, like the YouTube show.
Right.
So a lot of these pictures were like quick, like 1 second cuts in between the song shots, and then like random videos of us. One of my favorite short clips is just me on one of those standing like moving platforms, like straight ones in one of the hotels, and I think Kyle's taking a picture, but he's taking a video, and I'm clearly just hammered and I have this giant like Slurpee drink
right on
just like frozen. We had a lot of fun, but to go back soon.
Got my picture taken with The Rock's mom.
Yes, you did. She's a sweetheart.
Well, she sure is, but I was wearing a Black Adam shirt at the time. I just happened to be wearing a Black Adam shirt.
That's awesome.
And The Rock's playing Black Adam, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is awesome. But someone who did even better than me. The only reason I did this was because of this guy. So a guy shows up, and I actually watched it all happen. I was hanging with Ron Hutchinson and Stuart Kemp. We're watching the
trained
matches.
Edge, Christian, and Beth Phoenix.
Man, and Ron Hutchinson, fantastic guy. Oh my God, he's so awesome. Legend. But we were watching the matches, and this is on the first night, and there's the first.
How many belts? How many belts on the show?
There were a few belts.
We counted, and every time there's a belt, I would pop, and then Vance.
It should be a drinking game.
Vance Nevada was like on the other end.
I didn't get to meet Vance. Wasn't there this year. I never got a chance to meet him. I've still never met Vance Nevada.
Vance Nevada's
amazing. But anyway, so yeah, it was. We're sitting there watching. Stuart and me and Ron and a couple other people were watching, and it was. Where are we going? He's in the front row. Like she supports the hell out of
She's there every year.
She's there every year, but you don't have to go to those opening matches and things like that. She does.
Yeah.
And she's in the front row. And so I watched this dude come in and he sees her, and I watch him leave. He comes back in at the end of the show, and he's wearing a shirt that says, "Your mom thinks I'm hotter than you."
Okay.
Beelines as soon as the show's over. Beelines for Ada. The Rock's mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Her, if she I'm watching it from 20 feet away. I'm watching him say, "Would you I'm pantomime?" Okay, you can tell he's saying, "Would you please take a picture with me in this shirt?" So she's like, yeah, of course. So arm around her, and she's going like this to him. "Your mom thinks I'm hotter than you."
And then posts it and tags The Rock.
He owns a t-shirt company.
That's amazing.
Best marketing ever. And then I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Maybe I should go get my picture taken with Ada. My wife loves her. She's really cool. And then I'm looking down. I'm going, wait a second. I'm wearing a Black Adam t-shirt taken with her. So that was one of many. Mark Henry, Sergeant Slaughter. Oh my God. I had an amazing conversation with Sergeant Slaughter. That was really, really cool. About a half hour going back and forth because I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan.
Right.
And I had like a massive collection when I was a kid. And so he got all excited when I started talking about G.I. Joe, not wrestling. Not that he doesn't like to talk about wrestling, because he does. We talk about both. But as soon as I started talking about G.I. Joe, he like animated right up. So he and I had a really, really good conversation about that. And we had so much fun. Red Zone, baby, the Red Zone.
When we went, we saw The Rock's mom. We were with Kenny Lush. He locks eyes with her and kind of starts walking over, and then she starts going over, and she's got this squinty look, and she's like, "You look just like my son." And he's like, yeah, like so excited because he's heard that before, right? And so they took a picture together, and she's awesome. The last thing she says as she's walking away was, oh, what the hell movie was he in at the time? one of his movies, but she just promoted his movie as she walked away. Like, don't forget to go watch Jumanji or whatever the fuck movie it was.
Oh, that's awesome.
So funny. Just as she's walking away, promotes her son's movie.
She's a proud mama.
Such a sweet. All the great podcasts were in review. I was going to say year in review.
We're catching up.
We haven't done this in a year.
Yeah.
So we're kind of catching up with each other. I want to talk about some of the other things we've talked about, some other things that have happened. We kind of touched on conspiracies because it was one of our podcasts, so we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah.
PC culture.
Political correctness culture.
So we did a really interesting episode about
as opposed to PCP culture.
Correct.
Very different.
About political
two very
correctness.
different clubs.
We had Jeremy from The Real Deal, one of the producers from The Real Deal, come on. Perspective. He has no filter, and it was kind of from that perspective, and we love Jeremy.
Yep.
Where do you think we're at now? Like, because I always say I'm a big believer that everything in our entire existence is expansion and contraction.
Yes,
okay?
I agree with that.
And this is what we see with political correctness. We see outcry, and then we see contraction.
Yep.
And do you think we're still very much within that expansion outcry, or is things starting to settle back down and now we have this new reality of what's appropriate?
Everything has their season, and they get explored and they get dealt with, and then they get brought back from the outer reaches of where that season leads them to. I think it's happening with abortion in the States right now. I think we're watching that happen right now.
Okay, so on that note, sorry, I'm cutting you off a lot today.
That's okay.
Nothing new. So I have Naomi, a friend of the World of Gray. She was on the podcast about Alzheimer's. Actually, one of our most popular podcasts, and that's
because she has a lot of friends who just wanted to
fact that people I know that watch this, more people have come up and talked to me about that episode than anything else.
Yes.
So she worked for the Y, and she comes to the downtown Y a lot, and we were chatting about something today, and I said, yeah, we haven't picked a topic yet, and she said, oh, why don't you talk about the new abortion laws? And I said, I thought about that.
Yeah.
I feel it may not be appropriate having two men talk about the abortion laws.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to touch on it a lot, but if you haven't heard about some of these laws that are being passed in Alabama specifically, which was signed off by governor.
But there's a larger issue as to why they're being passed, though.
Because because of political reasons.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, you're screwing around with people's lives.
Yeah.
To get this major thing
political posturing
brought up to the it gets brought up to the Supreme Court, and then a bigger decision could be made at the Supreme Court level.
Right.
But you want to talk about a political correctness live wire item. This is an item that is going to, and we don't have to go down this path about abortion. Whatever you think about abortion and freedom of choice and all this sort of stuff. We're going down to places, to give an example, where here's something where in the next couple of years, you've got an issue that's going to have stretched itself out to the extremes, and then it's going to come back, and then reality will be how it is. I think the same thing is happening with political correctness in so many different ways. The problem is with political correctness itself can make an issue like that happen instantaneously. It's a live wire thing.
Correct. Did you see Ben Shapiro walk off of BBC?
No, I did not.
Oh, so good. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Ben Shapiro?
Yep.
He went on BBC and was being interviewed by a conservative. Like, I'm talking the chair of a conservative think tank. Okay. This is very intelligent.
He wasn't disrespectful in the sense of
British.
Yep.
So here's the thing. BBC has a very different style of interviewing.
Yes.
Especially this guy, James something. Damn it. James Neal, something like that. He's a conservative.
Okay.
And so this is the first interview I've ever seen him conduct, but his style is no matter who he's interviewing, whether they're on his political side or not, he basically asks them reverse questions and puts them in a hot seat, right?
Okay.
It doesn't matter who they are, but he's quite abrasive with it. So he's saying to Ben Shapiro, he's saying he's talking about the new abortion laws that are coming up, and he's like, these ideas are being pushed by your side of the political aisle. How are these new laws not going back to the dark ages?
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Shapiro loses his shit because it's so good. He starts like freaking out. He's like, you're so disingenuous. Are you objective? You're supposed to be objective, but you're not objective. BBC has never been objective. Why don't you just say you're on the left. Why don't you just his?"
Wow.
So this Neil James, whatever his name is, he starts laughing.
That's
and
a
he's
perfectly relevant question.
He's like, if you took 2 seconds to research anything about me, he's like, you know how ridiculous that statement is. And you see Ben Shapiro just short circuit for a second because he doesn't know what he means by that, because he doesn't realize he's a conservative.
Wow.
So fucking good. And it just keeps going and going and going. And then Ben Shapiro's like, I'm not inclined to continue an interview with someone with motives as bad as yours, and takes his mic off and then he goes, okay, that anger is not a part of American political discourse. So calmly. It was so so good.
Well, yeah, it's like the perfect, he set him the perfect volleyball, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to jump up here and just, I'm just not even going to spike it. I'm just going to.
And then Ben Shapiro just gets murdered on the internet. And then he tries to go on Twitter and be like, oh, he did a good job and he won that debate. And oh, that's what that feels like. And oh, you just discredited yourself, man. Don't try to say he won. And
oh man, yeah.
It was amazing.
That's why you don't want to plant your flag in cement.
Mm-hmm.
Religion and how the outer limits of things. And he said, you know what? He goes, it's great to have ideas. He goes, beliefs are harder to change.
Yeah.
When you have a belief thing where you plant your flag and it's like this. Well, you know what? A lot of the modern day, even church communities, if you look at them compared to what they used to hardcore say 30, 40 years ago, very different ideals. And so I love when people open to listening to others and taking in what they say, not necessarily because they agree with them, but because they're at least giving them the respect of saying, yeah, you know what, you believe that. Tell me why you believe that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You respect why I believe. And if you can, if a hardcore, right-wing Christian and someone who is a liberal on the left, can sit down and have a discourse like that, they can actually walk away feeling like they've been stretched at least to look at another point of view, in a positive way.
Well, it's hard
at the highest level of the political spectrum, especially in the United States right now.
So I have a couple of points to that, and you just brought up a whole bunch of shit. So one, I always think back to the Jonathan Cathcart quote that we talked about on the last episode, is most topics are way more complex than you think they are.
Yes.
And what you know is probably wrong.
Yes.
Or at least ill-guided and misinformed.
Yes.
But another thing I want to say is, like, biologically or whatever you want to say, physiologically, it's really hard to change a belief. Because as soon as we're done, don't worry, that's what I'm doing all day.
Anyways, keep going. I didn't mean to bust your flow. It's just watching Jen with the Weed Whacker is pretty, all right.
I got lucky.
Yeah, you did.
But physiologically, it's really hard to change beliefs once they're in your brain. And I mean, there's good survival reasons for that. So if you want to be a critical thinker, you have to train it.
Yep.
But I agree with you in the fact that talking to people with opposite views is exactly what we should be doing, and being open to their ideas. This is why some of my favorite conversations are with Mike, because he has complete opposite views to me, and he has amazing points that sometimes I have no answer. I'm like, fuck, that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, also he's brilliant.
He is brilliant, of course. He's a very, very brilliant man.
Yeah, Rizzo is brilliant.
Yeah, and he's just a cool dude.
You narrow down abortion laws, like what they're trying to do.
Okay, so they're
going extreme.
Yeah, so there's only a couple that I really remember, or at least like have heard enough to say like this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to basically in Alabama, unless the mother is at physical harm, you're not allowed to abort, or you can get up to life in prison. And
doctors who perform abortions can get 99 years.
And if you live in Alabama and go out of state and get an abortion, you can get up to 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
There's also no exemption for incest and rape, which is pretty fucked up.
So okay, but they're doing this though, and admitting that they're doing this so they can get it brought up to the Supreme Court. They're like, the people who are in favor of this law are saying, no, it's so extreme. This is such an extreme law that we want to get it brought up to the Supreme Court. We want to get it challenged. So
even the governor of Alabama said that there's no way she knows that constitutionally there's no way to enforce this law at this time.
Yeah. So
she put it into law knowing that there's no way to enforce it.
So yeah, it's extreme.
It's
and
just
I think that I think you're right.
Situation.
The 2 men thing, we should probably, kind of
correct.
That.
Yeah, and
it's pretty extreme
because a lot of it is trying to take control of women's bodies, and I feel as 2 men we don't really have the the right to talk about this.
Man, even when our girls tell us to take control of their bodies, we don't know what the heck we're doing. Like, I mean, how are we supposed to?
I take directions.
Okay, well.
All right. A few things that we've talked about in the past, and there's a couple other things we can get into. But one thing I want to talk about, we had a podcast about guilty pleasures, and one of my guilty pleasures is Big Brother. Not just watching, but I've tried to get on it a few times. And if you don't watch Big Brother, big news from Kelowna, BC. Dane, who is from Kelowna, BC, won Big Brother Canada.
Represent, man.
So,
represent.
If somehow this gets to him, if you know Dane, actually, one of my employees knows Dane because he works for her dad.
Yeah.
But if him on either the World of Great or what I would prefer, now cast Kelowna with Kelowna Now. So
yeah, well, you know
that's
what?
My dream. My dream is to have Dane on.
We may have something
podcast.
going there.
That's my dream.
Yeah.
Because usually with Kelowna Now, I have no idea what you guys are talking about because I'm not smart enough. Love Dane. Loved this season of Big Brother.
Yeah, you'd be the guy talking on that one.
He was so consistent in his gameplay. Like other people may have played a little harder in certain aspects.
Right.
But my idea of a perfect Big Brother player is someone that checks all the boxes the most. That makes sense, right? So gameplay, like the social aspect of just getting to know people,
right.
So likability,
right.
The ability to lie and get out of lies when you get caught. He did all of these things. I'm not even saying he was like my favorite person as I was watching it.
Right.
There's other people I really liked, like this Sam girl I really liked. He got her out. And as he started getting out the people I liked him more because he just was so good. He was, I think it was final 5 or some shit, and he was this close to being eliminated. And he started putting on fake tears and then also have somebody who was stronger, like just brilliant all around, and a good fake crier.
Oh, that's
but
good.
He had to put, because I think a part of it is he really didn't want to go. It really was his dream. So he couldn't come from that.
Sure.
But then as soon as he walked into a room where there was nobody, he just like stopped crying and like was laughing and like looking at the camera. So it's just so cool that the first season of Big Brother Canada, where you had somebody from Kelowna, they get there and they win. And so if somehow Dane ever sees this, hats off to you.
Yeah.
We're not going to take our hats off because our hair is a little messy. Hats off to Dane. He did phenomenal. Yeah, put that back down.
Yeah, man. I actually know his brother-in-law, sort of. Like, kind of like, because they're not married yet. So I don't know what you call that. But they're like in a very committed relationship and they've got like a house together and like blended family, but they're not like married. But his
amazing.
Yeah. So we've been going back and forth and he said, oh yeah, he'd do your podcast in a second. I'm like, all right. So that's where we're at with that. There's nothing connection made,
cool.
but there's been
be friends. Like I think he thinks I would be cool, which is the cool thing.
Right.
No, it's okay. That's a joke. That's from a movie. That's
Everybody
from Knocked
thinks
Up.
You'd be cool.
That's from Knocked Up.
So in Knocked Up, was it Rogan that said that?
Yeah, it's like,
who's he saying that about?
It's like the date they have after she realizes she's pregnant, and he thinks she just wants to hang out again, and then he's talking about some like Vince Vaughn, I think he's talking about, and he's like, I think he would like me, I think, which is the cool thing.
Yeah,
it's so good. So a couple like while we're on the topic, not necessarily guilty pleasures, but popular entertainment, because I do feel like we need to couple things I want to get your opinion of. Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
Okay, so here's my thing with Game of Thrones. I knew that I would like Game of Thrones immediately because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Right.
And Game of Thrones is like a different fantasy version of Lord, and it's R-rated.
Completely different, but okay.
Yeah, but it's along the same.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Timeline.
Yeah. So I knew that I would like it, but when it hit my radar, I had also heard that, okay, this is a very expensive production and it's few and far between in episodes when seasons come out.
Right.
So just like with Lost, I waited till like season 4.
Right.
And it was like, oh man. And then I got to the point where it was like waiting between weeks and then waiting between like years between seasons and stuff. And I'm like, I just don't want to do that with certain shows. And so Game of Thrones.
So you're not cut up.
My wife and I made the decision to not watch Game of Thrones until it was done. So we're pretty stoked right now because we're about to start Game of Thrones.
Okay.
For the first time.
We won't talk about it. No spoilers. Endgame.
Oh my gosh. Avengers Endgame.
So you had a post that said perfect movie.
Perfect movie.
I think some people would be
from my standpoint.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
that's the most amazing thing that's happened on this podcast, right there.
that's true. Like, you know, I have no problem.
That
with
was
somebody.
Mike Chisholm saying, "I don't give a fuck."
No,
in the nicest
don't.
way.
If you look at my office at home, you'll see
Hello, Kevin.
volumes and volumes and volumes, hardcover volumes sitting up there. I'm a huge comic book fan. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU, as you want to call it. And as far as I'm concerned, if you go from the very first Iron Man, that is, I can't even. I've got, like, if you look at my arm right now, it's covered
Literal
covered in goosebumps, because there's a couple scenes.
Goosebumps.
There's a couple scenes in Endgame where I'm just like, what a perfect climax and bookend of 19 or 20 movies, whatever it was the 21st, 22nd movie, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, I am astounded at the bravery of the Russo brothers, where they went with that movie, the time travel part, what they did with Thor in this movie, what they did with Hulk in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the Thor thing was kind of its own, but with Hulk, like, that's the Professor or Hulk Banner, whichever persona of Hulk you're looking at, and they've never done that to the mass. The average person who's known the Incredible Hulk from the TV shows and things like that, know who the Hulk is, or the cartoons, they haven't seen that version of the Hulk.
Right.
That was really, really ballsy of those guys to do that with him. Like, they took a lot of chances with that movie.
Right.
And the time travel stuff, oh my gosh, did they ever, as far as I'm concerned, so they sucked the last for each of the characters of each of the 5 major Avengers. I absolutely am floored by that movie. I've seen it twice already. I've discussed it a lot. I cannot wait to watch it over and over and over and over and over again. I absolutely loved Avengers Endgame.
Well, and we're not here to do spoilers, but yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. Unfortunately, I don't think I enjoyed it as much, because when I got to the theater, it was like a 9:30 showing, because everything else was sold out.
Right.
So we were going to be there till like 1 a.m.
Right.
And I had a text saying that my Sunday closer couldn't work.
So your head went away.
Yeah, so I had to go into work on Sunday, and that's all I could think about. And I'm like trying to text people on a Saturday night at 9:30 to see if they'll work. Nobody's
from
coming,
a movie theater.
Nobody's going to work a Sunday shift when you text them at 9:30 on a Saturday.
I was up at 5 the next morning, and I was up fine because of that movie. Like, it was so good.
It's fine.
It was so good. Oh my God.
Do you want to hear, sorry, this is really off topic and we're going to wrap up pretty soon, but I feel like people will be entertained by this.
All right.
So, but on here it's about 52 minutes in, so maybe 49 minutes on here.
Okay.
So maybe we can put that in the description if somebody just wants to hear this story.
All right.
So I did probably the worst boyfriend thing, fiance thing I've done in a while.
Other than podcasting with your friend while your girl's out with the weed whacker doing yard work now?
Worse than that.
Okay.
So that Sunday happens, I have to work, and then the next weekend we were going to go camping for my birthday, Sunday, Monday.
Right.
So Jen goes out and buys, like, we had saved $300 in coin change in it. So we used it for camping.
Nice.
And Jen went out and bought $300 worth of like new chairs and a bunch of crap that we needed. And so I'm working like 12 hours on the Saturday or Friday, and then on the Friday I'm working 12 hours, and I work the Saturday, and then we're fucking out of there. So on the Friday she does all the work while I'm at work, and she goes, I bought everything, so nobody better call in sick on Sunday. Right, because I got everything. We gotta go. You're not going into work. I thought it would be funny to text her, can't work, because he broke his scapula. I was like, so he still can't work, so I can't go camping. And I was going to wait like 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. And then text, haha, just kidding.
This is high wire boyfriend antics right here. Sometimes this works. Sometimes this goes spectacularly wrong.
It was a busy day. I forgot about the text for 3 hours.
Oh, no. I got goosebumps, but in the other way. They're all inside now. My balls just sunk up into my body. This is an awful feeling for a guy.
So I'm finishing off 2 different events that are going on, and I'm running into a meeting. And text, there's like a series of texts about, oh, well, what the fuck? Sorry, I just returned shit. Like, she's pissed, obviously. And so I call her, like, so, hey, how's it going? Well, I'm a little pissed off. Yeah, so I was joking. and forgot.
Did she hang up the phone? Did she just hang up the
No,
phone? Oh, man,
she
you
was
got a
quite
good woman.
angry.
You've got a good woman for not just hanging
And
up the phone.
I felt like a bag of shit. So
Yeah.
I go into the meeting, I explain it to Kelly and the two other marketing people that are in the room. And Kelly, like, as I say it, she just goes, like, jumps out of her chair and is like, wide-eyed, like, this look like, what the fuck?
Kelly.
And then
also
Kelly's the best.
Yeah,
she's
so
been my mentor for 7 years. She's amazing.
When you play around
So,
with the
she then laughed.
like that.
You know, like that.
Well, yeah.
You know the that kind of laugh. Like, she's not that loud. Like, that's what I sound like. But you know, when you do that to someone, you go, "Oh fucking shit!"
Oh no.
And the new supervisor that we hired up that helps me out now because I was doing 2 jobs, Jill. When I was texting it, I told her, and she gave me this look like, "You sure about that?" And I still did it. So that was at 2 p.m. 8:30 p.m. She finally texted me. So mad. So I'm a piece of shit. So anyways, I thought people
good
would
thing it was
enjoy
your birthday because that's one of the
was
only
it?
ways you get a pass on
It
that.
wasn't
one.
that day.
Yeah, no.
So
wow.
that's kind of.
But your camping adventure was tremendous.
It was great.
Yeah.
Daisy had a lot of fun. Hardy doesn't go because he's a jerk. So we're about to wrap here. So I hope everyone's had.
Hey, you said to me compliments were coming.
Oh no! Your compliments were that I can't do this podcast without you.
That's the compliments.
Yeah,
well, no, and I feel.
I realized.
Hey, listen, and Candy and I, we love talking together. We love, she loved. She's like, "Was I okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, you were way better than Colin and I ever are."
But that's not the point of this.
But that's
podcast.
not the point of it. And I love having a standing appointment to catch up with you every week. I love that. It makes me so happy. And I love doing this. Like, I love that it's a long weekend. It's a beautiful blue sky. It's beach weather. I think I'm going to, I may show up for Maydays for a moment or two to see the Rutland Rumble and whatnot and see all my friends that are wrestling, won. Which you have won. Yeah. But then it's Park Beach Day with our family, with the granddaughter. And I'm so excited about that. But I can come and catch up with you even on days like that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And that's obviously the biggest reason why we do this is just because we like hanging out with each other and we just like exploring each other's brains. We like exploring each other's worlds of gray.
We both challenge each other and stretch each other.
And we want this to grow. We want this to get better. We want us to get better at communication. But regardless of what happens with the views and people watching, we will not stop doing this. That one Sunday when I had to go into work was the first time we didn't do this since we created the World of Gray page, where it's only going to get better. If I can remember the login password, you can follow us. I forgot the password already. But once I figure that out, we'll be back on Twitter. We're just going to grow and evolve. And a lot of these topics will come back up.
Oh, sure.
They're going to evolve. And join the conversation if you'd like. Add them to the comments here. We're going to start doing review videos of old videos. It's just only going to get better. You pick and choose whatever the fuck you want to watch from us. Like and share if you like it. If you don't bother. We're not here to beg for anything. Only do what you want to do because you are a person who has freedom of choice. Even free will, but that's totally fine. That's another topic.
Hey man, the world that has been constructed around you, make it the best that you can. Seriously,
Beautiful.
Get to a place where you are, and we can talk about this one week, maybe even next week. I've been on this personal development journey since March 5th, and I've learned a lot, and I am learning a lot, and I'm moving forward in a lot of ways. On June 5th, I got to put my they're not my after picks, but like I took before picks, like from a fitness level. The after picks
still deadlifting.
I'm not deadlifting right now. I'm doing just straight up DDP yoga and diet right now.
Do whatever works.
But I'm that I've learned over the last couple of months, and I want to bounce them by you. And really at the end of the day, whether or not there's free will, whether or not we're in a simulation, whether or not we're in a whatever, I just know that the world that's been constructed around me, I want to live it as best I can and have a good time doing it. And I know a lot of the people who are in our lives, in our circles, feel the same way. I know you definitely feel the same way. And we want to question everything and enjoy and laugh as much as we can and just have a really, really good time together. And we should play poker soon too.
I really do think we should play poker. And I agree with that in a world divided by black and white arguments, myself and the Flow Mike Chisholm are here to explore
the world of gray.
Thank you for joining us. Next week, we will talk about personal development.
Peace.
Love. And love.
Whoa, there it goes. And this one here, who has had the most unique view.
This is the Hardy view.
Hardy view.
Hardy vision. Bye. Oh, I always forget there's another screen. Bye.